There was a whole season of my life where I was just going, like, I was just doing things, I was just showing up, but none of it was actually mine. I was reacting to everything, every situation, every person, and I didn't even know it. I thought that was just life, but really, I thought I was doing what I was supposed to do, but it was no. It was really just survival mode. And today I'm going to tell you exactly what that looked like for me and how I took my life back. So again, life was living me, and here's how I took it back. We just talked about this, how I there was a season where I was just doing a lot of things. I was moving, I was showing up, but I wasn't showing up for me. I'll tell you that part. Um, so yeah, that was the survival part of it. Now let's continue. So before I get started into the details, I want to talk about why I'm qualified to talk about this and why I am sharing my story and sharing my knowledge, right? So I didn't learn this from a textbook. I live these things, right? I pulled myself out of very deep dark spaces financially, mentally, and physically. I know what it feels like to be at your lowest with nobody who truly understands. And that is exactly why I built Infinite Grace. I am also a breathwork certified practitioner, a design certified practitioner, and a psychology student at the number two a psychology program in the United States. Yes, that is why I'm qualified to talk about it. But most of all, even throughout and with the certifications, back in my knowledge, back in my research and everything, the thing that I feel like that really makes me qualified to share this information is my experience and what I did to get through it. So by the end of this video, you're going to recognize yourself and know exactly what it takes to stop reacting to your life and to start choosing it. Simple. All right? Here's exactly what we're going to be recovering, which is the roadmap back to self. So first, we're going to go through survival mode unfiltered. We're going to know exactly what it looks like in real life, not the clinical definition, even though I do know that too. I'm just saying. And then we got number two, before the healing, right? So we're going to talk about who I was before and the moment everything cracked open, everything changed, and I just stepped into me. And then we're going to talk about number three, what healing really takes. Not the Instagram version, the raw, honest version of it, right? Then four, of course, coming back to yourself. What life looks like on the other side of the work. All right, so what survival mode actually looks like. It doesn't always look like a crisis. Sometimes it looks like a full calendar, a steady paycheck, and a smile that doesn't quite reach your eyes. So this can be chasing security that you never even defined, like what it is. You're just chasing it. You just know that you're chasing it. You don't know what you're chasing. You know what I'm saying? You're just constantly busy and like, you're busy. You don't really know why you're busy. Let me know if that makes sense. Drop something in the comments. Let me know. All right. And then another thing can be like working jobs that you hate just to chase money. I am a living motivation or a living example of that, because I worked plenty of jobs that I hated because I got paid well, right? Yeah, I worked them and I worked them well. I did overtime, etc. So you're not alone. Another thing is staying in things that don't align because leaving feels unsafe. Also, no inner grounding, no inner stability. These are things that survival mode can look like in real life, right? True. All right, so let's talk about who I was before the healing. All right, so number one on the list, I was a people pleaser. I stayed quiet. I didn't want anyone to notice that I was different. I spent years being the odd girl just to go with the flow. I was the woman like on her own, doing her own thing, etc. Anyways, let me just kind of take y'all through this. Let me just kind of tell you. Let me take you back, right? So I moved out on my 18th birthday or around my 18th birthday, whatever, literally straight 18 on my own, figuring it out. And life hit me hard and fast. Hard and fast, okay? I was not prepared for what life had for me, okay? And the thing is, I looked around and everybody else was navigating life the same way, like the same reactive way that I was doing it. Nobody had it figured out and nobody was coming to save me. That's what I knew for a fact. Nobody was coming to save me. So I just went with it. I'm like, I'm gonna figure it out. I'm gonna get to this. I'm gonna go through this journey, right? I stayed quiet, right? That's where we go into the people pleasing and being quiet. I went with the flow because I didn't want anyone to notice that I was different. that I thought differently, that I wanted different things, that I moved differently. And I don't know. I just spent so much energy trying to blend in. It's crazy. And I'm so glad that I'm free from it now. But that's my truth. And here's what survival mode looked like for me at that time. I wasn't doing anything just because I wanted to. I was doing everything because I felt like I had to. I felt like I needed those jobs that I didn't want because I needed a lot of money for some reason. I don't know. And I did it. I got the money. I did the things, right? The decisions that didn't, I was just making decisions that didn't match who I actually was. I had friendships that didn't really fit. They weren't wrong. They just didn't really fit my personality, what I like to do, who I am, etc. And I was just collecting obligations and calling it a life. I thought like the more that I put on my plate, the better of a person that made me, or like the more productive of a woman it made me. But yeah, wrong. Absolutely not. Okay. And then I had my son, and then that's where things got really rough. I was pregnant, trying to write my book, trying to start my courses, trying to start my business. I had a physical business called Bronze Beauty, which you probably saw on my YouTube channel, or if you followed me on social media. Bronze Beauty was amazing. It was self-care products that where I packed affirmations and different self-care tips and tools, and it was supposed to eventually lead into courses and one-on-one workshops and things like that. But I kind of hit a wall. That's really what happened. So again, if you've read Inner Healing Miracle, if you know about Inner Healing Miracle, that's how long I worked on that project. I started that before I had my son. But like I said, I hit a wall, and I just remember saying to myself, I cannot help nobody from here. I was at a point where I just knew I can't help nobody. I can't. I'm not a fraud. I'm very authentic. Everything I do is going to be authentic. It's going to be real, and it's going to be a true representation of me. So from there, I knew that I had to get myself together because I just have a lot of self-awareness. So I took a long hiatus. I dropped everything. When I say dropped everything, I let Bronze Beauty go like that. I threw out all the products. I spent a lot of money. A lot of money on those products. I spent a lot of money on setting up my website, setting up everything that I did. I spent a lot of money. But that did not matter to me. What mattered to me was my sanity. What mattered to me was my happiness, my peace. Everything that I needed, I did not have at that moment. And that was because I spent so long chasing things I thought I needed, and I didn't need it. I didn't need it at all. I had to drop it. And one thing about God is sometimes I feel like He'll give you what you think you need just so you can see that it's not what you need. And that's what happened to me. That's exactly what happened to me. I was like, what? What? I thought this is what I wanted. Anyways, I will be real with you. For a long time after that, life was living me, which is the caption, right? Life was living me. Life was living me financially, mentally, physically, all of it. All of it. I did not recognize myself. I did not recognize like what was going on. I didn't recognize myself, but I recognized that I needed to make a change. I recognized that I needed to sit with self. I needed to go back within. I needed to realign myself and make sure that I didn't spend any more time feeling how I felt in those moments, right? I didn't spend any more time than I already had waking up not liking what I saw. So what changed? It wasn't one big dramatic moment. It was like a slow realization. I started making small shifts, right? I started doing more meditating, more journaling, and actually just sitting with myself instead of running from myself, right? And then somewhere in between that process, like I had my son, I made these changes, I went to school, and some other things happened, right? Some pretty amazing things. I just wasn't really much on social media at the time. But somewhere in between that process, I got pregnant with my daughter. Ooh, that was another experience, and I remember this moment like very vividly. I'm looking at my son and I'm thinking about having another baby. I didn't know I was having a daughter at the time. And something in me just said, I cannot tell these kids that they can do anything in the world if I'm not showing them that, right? I cannot teach them self-leadership while I'm stuck in survival mode. That was the crack for me. That was the thing that made the light bulb in my head go. You got to start living. You got to show up. You got to be who you are. It wasn't a breakdown. It wasn't like a rock bottom moment like what you would see in the movies or anything like that. It was just this quiet, undeniable knowing that I had been living for everyone and everything accept me. And I was done with it. I was done. I'm not doing it no more. So like I said, I went and got a billing degree, a medical coding degree, which I had that before my daughter. But I continued that process, and I got the career, I got the job. I was doing everything I thought I wanted to do, right? I had left the whole business situation alone because I was just like, it's not working out. I gave up. F it. That's what I was at. I left it alone. I was like, I need to do what everybody else do. Go to school, get a degree, get a job, blah, 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 blah. Anyways, like I said, I got the career, I got the job, I got all that. I'm sitting at this desk every day. I'm going. And baby, I was doing great for a while. And then I just thought, I want more. I want more money. It was not what I wanted more of, though, right? I wanted more freedom. Yeah. I wanted freedom to create, to be my own boss, to wake up and do something that actually feels good to me, to stop building everybody else's dreams and start building mine. Freedom is the top tier thing. Like, cause I'm just like such a free person. I'm a free random person. I like to wake up and do different things. Like my life cannot look the same every day that I wake up. So when people ask me like, why you want to be free so bad? What you trying to do? Well, some days I'm trying to do nothing. Is that okay with you? You know what I'm saying? Some days I just want to wake up and chill. Some days I want to go get iced coffee. Some days I want to do some yoga. Some days I want to dance. Some days I want to play with my kids in the mornings. Like, I just want to be free. I just want to do whatever it is that I choose to do. If I wake up tomorrow and decide I want to start a whole new business, I want to be able to do that. That's all I'm saying. And that is when I realized that money was never really my problem, right? For a while, I was so focused on making more money, right? That's all I was doing. That's all I was focusing on. Like, I was binge watching Myron Golden. I have been working, to this day, I have been working with the top creators. I invested in mentorship with a millionaire. Loved it. I'm not saying I regret any of these things. They have taught me so many things. I have done so much and accomplished so much. But it was just the realization that money is not the thing. That's not the thing. That's not my thing. Everybody got a thing. It's not mine. I love making more money. Those things are amazing. Of course, I want that because it gives me more freedom. But I'm saying that I had to realize it wasn't my sole purpose. Like, it wasn't like the thing that's going to keep me going. Because I got the money and kind of just let it sit there and I'm still irritated that I'm doing all this stuff now. I'm doing all this stuff. I'm making all this money, but now I'm doing all this stuff. You get what I'm saying? I want to do all this stuff. I want to be free. I want to play with my kids. I want to go play hide and seek. I'm just a free person. Like, I want to, get the paint out and paint with the cars with my children. Like, I just want to be free. And that's what it was. What I needed was to take back my life fully on my terms. On my terms, that's what I want. That was the change. That was the shift, right? All right. Now that we talked about that, I want to be real with you about what taking your life back actually looks like. Because it's not what Instagram shows you. Right? It's not what Instagram shows you. It's not the morning routine that you see like on TikTok. It's not the morning routine that you see. It's not the, all I do is heal all day stuff. It's none of that. It's none of that. Okay? Because the truth is that it's not suddenly becoming a new person. It's a messy kind of journey, right? Your environment can trigger you. People who knew the old you will still treat you like the old you. And on some days, you will slide back and do something that you said you wouldn't do, react in a way that you thought you'd grown out of. That's part of it. That's part of the healing. That's part of the journey, right? What healing actually requires is this. You have to wake up to the fact that you might be part of the problem. Not all of it, but part of it, right? You have to look at the patterns that you keep creating and ask yourself why. Why are you creating those problems? What are you getting from staying stuck? What feels safer about not changing, right? That right there. What feels safer about not changing? Just pause and ask yourself that, because that question right there, that's what really helped me get unstuck. That's what really kept me going. Because I'm like, why do I feel like I need to be here? What about me can't see me in a different reality, you know? So for me, the hardest thing was realizing that I had stayed in situations that weren't good for me because something bad felt more familiar than the unknown. Because you don't know what, you know, what that amazing reality really looks like. You don't know. You're like, I'm comfortable with what's going on right now. So I'm going to somehow, some way, possibly self-sabotage because this is the life I know. This is the experience I know, right? So I had done all this deep healing work, and unfortunately, I still chose not to choose myself year after year after year after year. And that was humbling. That was very humbling. That was the most humbling thing I've ever had to sit with ever in my life. And here's what I know now. Now I know that you don't have to become someone new. You don't have to figure out what type of woman to be next. All you have to do is come back to the woman that you already are. Before the pain, before the trauma, before all of that stuff that happened to you, and all the stuff that changed how you move through the world, how all the stuff that changed your perspective. And here's the thing we got to think about. When we go through these things, they really can put us behind a wall that we don't even know we're behind and we don't really come back from because we don't see it, right? We don't see the wall. We don't see the changes. So that's why I think it's very important to constantly reevaluate yourself. See how you are showing up, but pay close attention because you are showing up. But is it as the woman that you said you are? Like, you know, is it aligned with the morals and the goals that you set for yourself? That's why self-evaluation, self-awareness, and all of that is important. Because if you are not constantly making sure, if I said I'm a stand-up woman, if I said that I'm a kind woman, if I said I'm loving, and does my actions reflect that? Am I reacting to the life that's happening to me, or am I creating? I want it to be very clear that I am not a reactor. I did not come to this earth to react. I came to create. So in every instance, every scenario, every situation, I'm going to make sure that I'm performing, and well, not performing. Let me take that back. I am showing up as a creator. I am creating through every experience I have. Every experience I have, I'm creating it. This experience right now, I'm creating it. I'm making sure that it's calm. I'm making sure that it's safe. I'm making sure that it's whatever it is that I want it to be. I'm creating it. I wake up in the morning, I'm creating that wake up. I'm creating that environment. I'm creating that energy. You see what I'm saying? I'm not reacting. I'm creating. You get what I'm saying? Right. So whatever it is that you say that you want to be, I want you to realign that with yourself. Even like, for instance, as a parent, a lot of people think I am a gentle parent, but I'm not. I am an intentional parent. So that means that whatever I intend to be as a human, as a woman, as a mother, that's how I show up intentionally. So if I intend to be a great mother, I show up as a great mother. If I intend to create beautiful, smart, amazing children, I show up in ways that create those type of people. You get what I'm saying? Self-reflection. Anyways, here we go. Again, I want you to come back to the woman for all of those things, right? The thing that you need to realize is that she is still in there. You just need to find her. You just need to find your path back to her, right? And that is literally why I named my community Back to Self, because your healing doesn't have to look like mine. It doesn't have to look like anybody else's. Maybe you need to dance it out. Maybe you need to journal. Maybe you need breath work. Maybe you need to sit with your human design and understand how you're actually wired. Whatever it is, you get to discover that for yourself. But you have to stop reacting and start choosing. That's the work. That's what you have to do. Again, you don't have to become someone new. You just have to come back to yourself. So if you watch this whole thing and something in you recognize yourself in survival mode, in the going through the emotions and not choosing yourself, I want you to come join us in the Back to Self Collective. It is a community of women who are actively doing this work, not just talking about healing, working through it, and having a safe space to do so. I have free courses in there that's going to be walking you through real scenarios on how to say no, how to hold your boundaries, and how to stop reacting in the moments that matter. It's all in there waiting for you, and the link is in the description. Come find us. Come find your path back to yourself. And if this video has been an amazing experience for you, I would love if you could share it with a woman who needs to hear it. Because sometimes the most powerful and beautiful thing that you can do for someone is just to let them know that they're not alone. And I'll see you in the next video.